Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So I'm giving an update from the Swarm team, and so we always view Swarm as an integral part of the Web 3.0, and that's why we're very happy to speak here to give an update. So Swarm, let me introduce you to Swarm if you've forgotten what it is. We like to think of ourselves as an infrastructure for storage and communication for a sovereign digital society. Now, storage, you might have known, Swarm is a storage network, decentralized distributed storage for DApp data to realize the vision of a serverless internet. Communication is another side the Swarm network does. We actually allow for routing of messages between any two peers on the Swarm network. So on top of just being able to store your DApp data, it could also do message routing and chat kind of services or streaming services in the Web 3. And the point about sovereignty, I'd like to just mention it's really nice to be able to speak at a conference where we've heard from people like Stallman and Snowden. This is a core component of why we need a decentralized storage and communication infrastructure. It is so that we are sovereign as a society on the internet and not beholden to an overlord of Google, Facebook, or Amazon, or whoever else is hosting our service, hosting the services. So this is really about a self-sovereign network for all the Web3 needs. Now, the blockchain is good for consensus-relevant stuff, but not for large amounts of data and fast transfers. So that's where Swarm comes in. So what's new from the Swarm team? We have our own conference, the Swarm Orange Summit, every year, and we had a very good conference in May this year in Madrid, hosted at Epic Labs. And it was a very community event. There was a lot of communication, we had a lot of discussions, and we got a lot of feedback. And we heard from DApp developers the most crucial thing that they needed is to have some kind of reliability and stability so they could start building on Swarm, prototyping on Swarm, and just getting the basics right. Now, we don't need all the complicated smart contracts for long-term storage insurance and litigation yet. Let's get the basics right so we can start building. And that led to a renewed focus on stability and reliability of the core. And we have been doing a lot of refactoring of code already, and the nice thing is it's finally paying off. We've had great improvement for performance of the network, of the client, and that's for the whole of 2019. So we are in a much better place for DApp developers to use Swarm. We're also in a much better place internally for developing the Swarm core client, and we've had some help from that. We've completely we've updated our internal governance. We're better positioned to move forward. And on that note of us being better organized, I get to introduce Tim, who has joined our team earlier this year, and he's a big part of our well, I'll let him explain.
Thanks, Aron. Nice to see you all. Maybe just as a short reality check, who has heard about Swarm before this event? Hands up, hands up. It's 1/3. Okay, who's waiting for Swarm to be usable? Okay, some people tried it. So when I joined the project, I joined it out of the purpose of Swarm, that we need a full stack. And when I joined the project, there was a lot of technical work done already, but there was a missing focus how we streamline the development process, how we communicate externally, how do we communicate with our strategic partners. Swarm as part of the Ethereum Foundation, but now Swarm also becoming part of an independent organization. So we got our own release cycle. You might know it, that Swarm was part of the Get client, the Get Go client. We now have an independent release cycle, which gives us more freedom and control over when we release and how we release. We started to introduce new processes to be able to specify Swarm, because in the end, if we want to have a decentralized network, we need to have a multi-client implementation. For that multi-client implementation, we created a Swift process. And does anybody have an idea what the Swift process could be? Yes, it's pretty much like derived from the EIP process. It's nothing totally new. We understood that we need to have a process where we can specify how we develop Swarm. We just started with that process, so we hope that we see like all the Swift drafts coming in. We have like 15 pending right now. And this is very important, especially because we expanded our collaboration. I will speak about it in the next slide. We have user stories and epics now we develop, so the question is, what are we developing right now? It's answered, that was not organized before that. It was a huge improvement. It helped to align the team. It helped to create way more traction in the delivery of the different components. And we are now moving over into Ethereum crowd structure. This means that the Swarm team, originally being part of the Ethereum Foundation, is now moving outside the Ethereum Foundation, receiving a grant. The motivation behind that as well is to make Swarm more competitive. There was not the best relationship between the Swarm team and the Ethereum Foundation, and part of that was the Swarm team was super technical. The Ethereum Foundation was like the communication was not the best. The communication is way better now. I also we think that this is the right step to go, so that Swarm can follow up with its own strategy to deliver Swarm, but this does not say make the collaboration closer. Ethereum is where Swarm is coming from, and Ethereum is the primary platform which Swarm is developed for. So Swarm development changed in different tracks. This should give us a different focus. The scope of Swarm is massive. It's like a very ambitious project. That's also the reason why we had seen troubles in the development of Swarm in the past. Because there was the idea, let's get Swarm ready and get it launched. We now shifted over into an iterative cycle where we say every step we do, we want to provide value for the community. So we started to introduce new milestones along the way we can deliver on the goal to have a public incentivized Swarm network. For that, we split the development work in different focus areas. We have a new strategic partner, which is focused on the Swarm incentive track. They have successfully implemented the Swarm protocol, which allows for peer-to-peer accounting between the nodes, which is a good first step. We have the Swarm core track development, which is sponsored by funded from the Ethereum Foundation, and we have the Swarm communication track, where Stardust is our strategic partner. This all should come together in a Swarm incentivized test network in Q4 2019. The communication track most likely will join a little bit later and contains also the adaptive node clients for Swarm, others known as light clients. The strategic partnerships are very important for Swarm because of the ambitions of the project, but also because of its purpose. Swarm should be one global network and not many Swarm networks, because you want to have the network effects that I can send you a file wherever you are, and the other way around. And this means that we need to think Swarm multi-platform. And our strategic partnerships represent this. So this means one of the most important new partnerships is with IOV Labs. You might have heard about RSK before. This is in fact, they use an EVM compatible form of Ethereum, but they have the same interest. They have a social communication layer. And this is true for, I would say, any smart contract platform which is out there right now. So I think the potential for further collaboration to accelerate and put resources together is huge. But we are also very glad that we renewed the partnership with Status, and that the relationship with the Ethereum Foundation is improving since we started to reorganize the project. So this one roadmap, I will just very briefly speak about it because I think there's more value in also Aron showing that you can use Swarm today. One of the things we did when we met at Marathon together for a week to have together is also synchronization between the different tracks and what do we develop when. This includes a very important step for basic guarantees, which means that we have now a pinning feature. The API is currently in the finalization. So when we meet at DevCon again, you will be able to pin content on the Swarm network. We have support right now stable for 200 megabytes, which means that we have extensive testing to ensure that you can use file sizes up to 200 megabytes reliably in the network. And those things obviously for the finalization to be super stable and have also the feedback worked in for the APIs, we plan to continue working on those components so that they are really clean and neat. We see also that PSS push implementation is going to be implemented. It gives features like the ability to see a progress bar while you upload your files to Swarm and being informed when it's synced. We will focus on Cadena rewrite and improvements in the routing protocol and capabilities later this year for the ability to upload encrypted files to Swarm or encrypted with encryption module in Swarm or to add additional parity bits so that the file is more resilient against potential takedowns from signal nets in the network. Ethereum State on Swarm is something which is currently sponsored by an anonymous sponsor in the Ethereum community who is very interested to see the Ethereum state over a long time on Swarm, where we start with the ability to put the data structure we need or create the data structures we need. We work with Paolo from the Ethereum Foundation and Victor together to prototype this, and we plan to present something on that at FCON as well. I think I will just skip over another one and give a brief overview of what does it mean from an organizational standpoint of view. In the next step, we plan to create a Swiss GmbH because you can create it relatively fast to have a body in Switzerland, and which we can use to then plan step by step the Swiss Foundation to create the processes as the first time is like a Swarm organization. The Swiss Foundation should then also hold the assets, so like domains and so on, should be in the ownership of the foundation and also the protocol itself. Okay, I think I would like to give back to Aron to show you a little bit how you can use Swarm today, and everything you will see if the connection is working, and I think it is right now, is on Swarm.
Yeah, thank you. So let me start by pointing out our website, swarm.ethereum.org. That's how you would access our site if you are on the old Web 2.0. If you already have Swarm running connected to Ethereum with ENS name resolution, it's just swarm.eth, and hopefully soon we can have the name swarm.eth once short names become available. Let me call up So I have a Swarm node running. If you have a Swarm node running, then this is sort of what it would look like. You'd have it running locally. This is an HTTP interface. When you write an app, all the interactions with Swarm are through HTTP put and get requests. So if I type in something like this is...
That'd be right. What should I write?
He's got different letters on the keys than actually. The swarm.eth. Let's just try that. So the swarm.eth is our main website. That's how it goes. What actually happened, the swarm.eth goes to the Ethereum chain, looks in the name record, what is the Swarm hash associated with that name, uses that hash to get the data from the network, and you saw it loads relatively quickly. Let's try another one. Can you go back? And type photoalbum.eth. Now, photoalbum is a DApp. It is, it's a nice little DApp showing these three photos up there. They're very basic. But the nice thing is, this is a true DApp and it is interactive. So you can do things with this photo album. For example, I can say, I want to remove this photo from the album, click delete image. Of course it doesn't really delete it, it's still out there somewhere, but we've now got a new photo album with only those two pictures in it. If I now wanted to upload a photo to an album, I could just add it. So let me just try taking a picture of you guys. Alright, I'm gonna load up that site here. I was practicing earlier. Let me add this photo to the Swarm photo album. And every time you make a change to this album, the URL up there changed. You can see now there's a big hash up there after I removed the album, because of course the hash determines the content. Well, actually the content determines the hash, but you know. Which means that you can change anyone's album, add, remove, whatever, and then the new configuration is addressed at a new hash, and that hash you can save under your own name, and then that's your version of the album. So the functionality of the photo album app is completely independent of the content, namely the photos. So you can go use this album software to host just your own photos under your own name. So now I'm going to send, can I send you the, on Mattermost the...
Sure.
Yeah, so hang on. Where are you?
So this is also where if you want to engage with development because of our Mattermost instance.
And that bottom link here. So this is the new hash that I got from from the photo album. And let's go down here. This can you go from us. So that's the photo I just took of you guys live on Swarm on the live photo album. Now if we go up to the very top, to this picture, I don't really want that. That was part of the original demo slides. Go delete. Then I also take the number 1 picture. I try to delete them all. And what I'll end up with, hopefully, there you go. So here's a new photo album that only contains photos I uploaded. I can take that hash, save it in ENS, and I've got my own photo album. So this is a real live, interactive, currently working dApp on Swarm. And I think that's really exciting. The fact that we can build these kind of things without any server requirements at all. And for me, the dream of a serverless web, it's really core of what blockchains can allow. It's not just about finance, it's not just about payments, but it's about a social network that's actually social, an Airbnb without Airbnb, an Uber without Uber. To get that vision, to make the internet without these centralized points of control, this storage and communications infrastructure is really important for us to be sovereign in the digital space, and that's the Swarm vision. So we do have some time left, and that's deliberate because we do want to answer some of your questions. So please, let's have some questions.
Hi. Thanks for the talk. The photos now needed? It's just a side question. Or is it still on the... And the second question is, how much do you need Ethereum for this? Like, can you plug it into everything that uses smart contract, or can you even go beyond smart contracts, like, I don't know, you use Bitcoin for payment or something?
Okay, so that's an excellent questions. The first one, are these photos really deleted? No, they are not. When I click delete, what I'm really doing is I'm creating a new photo album where that photo isn't referenced anymore. It stays in the Swarm. There's no way you can force deletion across.
Swarm has no deletion.
So Swarm, well, deletion, so stuff does get deleted in Swarm. It does get garbage collected. Not all data can stay there forever. But it's not... So, then this touches on your second question. Well, how much is Ethereum involved in this? Right now, in this demo, I was only using Ethereum to resolve names. However, the incentivized payment network that Tim was referring to is what this is really all about. It's in the end being able to pay for using services and get paid for providing services to the Swarm. For this to be economically sustainable, there has to be a payment and settlement layer. By start, this was being developed for Ethereum payments. But since all payments are just between two connected peers, it is in theory possible that you agree with your peer to use any other settlement layer whatsoever to do your payments.
Like Monero or some...
Well, so I don't want to specify exactly whether Monero or Bitcoin. I think you have to do many repeated payments. So it's not just simply on-chain Bitcoin. We are working with IOV Labs, who have an EVM-based virtual machine merge mine with Bitcoin, and we're definitely working on enabling payments on that using what's that?
Lightning. They're looking into Lightning and into like the Raiden equivalent.
Yes, the Lightning Raiden. So it should be completely. We do want to have a network that can work with any settlement layer because it's not. Since it's all a bunch of peer-to-peer connections, we don't need to care how you settle your debts with your peers. And it should be modular to allow that. And then I'll give you a question. So the point is, if there is data in the network that nobody requests anymore, nobody pays for insurance, nobody wants for years, it just goes to the bottom of a really, really long queue, and in the end it'll get garbage collected. And that's how something eventually gets deleted.
Do I need an Ethereum node to run a Swarm?
What is it? Yeah.
Yes. So right now they tie together. The Swarm node ties into the Ethereum node for name resolution, and we'll do it for payments as well once our network is up. But if you just run a Swarm node today with no Ethereum node, it'll still work because we don't have the payments yet. You just won't have any name resolution and have to do everything by a hash.
Yeah, if I have a hash.
Yeah, and you can also try our public gateway if you just want to play around at swarm-gateways.net. There's a bunch of Swarm nodes that'll answer, and you can just try playing around with it if you don't want to run your own just yet.
maybe as a last announcement, we are at the Global Storage Summit on Friday. If you're there, we will have a workshop between 4 and 5 to get your hands dirty. All right, I think that's it from our side. And time is up. So
Thank you very much. Come talk to us.
yeah, thank you all. We will be in front of the door if you have further questions. Thank you all.